My sister's future in-laws demoted me from Maid of Honor because my divorce looked bad for the church. But my Reddit post saved her from her fiancé's rage, plus one update. For some background, my identical twin sister Stella and I are 29-year-old females, and will both be 30 when her wedding comes around this fall. She was my maid of honor 8 years ago, and she promised that I could be hers when she got married. I have 2 kids, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they're supposed to be the flower girls. My own marriage fell apart just over 2 years ago, following a stillbirth and my husband's infidelity. My parents and my sister were the only reason I didn't drown from the stress, loneliness, and the total abandonment I felt from my spouse. I was a complete mess. I went to therapy, where I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. I also quit drinking, and I owe so much of my recovery to my amazing sister. She's the reason I kept chasing down my ex for child support after he suddenly stopped paying. He switched from world's best dad to deadbeat dumbass so quickly that even his own mother is disgusted with him. Stella and her fiancé, John, who is 35, got engaged last year. His parents are paying for about 60% of the wedding. Our parents are paying 30%, and Stella and John are paying for the rest themselves. The biggest catch is that they must be married in John's family's church, with a full mass and communion. The family is on board because this is going to be a very big wedding. Tonight, Stella invited me to dinner. She said they had finally reserved a date for the church and reception, so I assumed she was going to formally ask me to be her maid of honor. I was so excited, since I haven't been in a wedding party since my own. When I got there, John was with her, which was weird because Stella hadn't mentioned he was coming. I hugged my sister like usual, but John just stood there. That was even weirder. After we got our drinks, they got right to the point. John basically said, "Despite my best efforts to keep it a secret, my parents found out that you're divorced when they asked why your husband wasn't coming. They are no longer comfortable with you being the maid of honor, because it won't look good to the church if my family hears about the divorce. You can still be a bridesmaid, but you can't mention your divorce or your mental health conditions at all during any of the wedding events." I was stunned. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes. Stella started crying too, and she tried to spin it as a good thing. She said, "This is way less stressful for you, so it's a good thing. My mother-in-law has already approved my best friend as my maid of honor, so please don't make this any harder." I knew right then that I couldn't stay there for the whole meal. I needed to process this alone. So, without saying a word, I paid for my ridiculously expensive drink and left to order an Uber home. A few hours ago, I texted Stella and told her that I wouldn't be in her wedding party at all. I made it clear that this was my decision. I said I wouldn't pull my daughters out as flower girls, but I would only be attending as a guest. She wouldn't take this for an answer, so I had to temporarily block her because of her excessive texts and calls. I sent my parents a summary of what happened and promised to call them when I was in better shape tomorrow. Stella thinks I'm having a total overreaction. At this point, I don't even want to know what John thinks. Please help me. Am I the asshole? A lot of people think I should pull my daughters out of the wedding, but I disagree. As it stands now, I'm fine with attending as a guest and just keeping an eye on them. This is simply too important to my daughters for me to pull them out. They would be crushed if they couldn't go. But I will not let anyone in John's family talk down to my children. If I get even a hint that something like that might happen, then I will pull them out as flower girls. I wanted to add a quick edit. Thank you for all the responses. I honestly half expected to be told to just suck it up and be a plain bridesmaid, which I probably would have done just to make Stella happy. I was just so blindsided and felt like I'd been gut punched. I'm going to try and fall asleep now while binging Friends and wonder if my twin has suddenly become an Ursula instead of a Phoebe. I have another edit. Wow, I did not expect this to blow up. I can't thank everyone enough for their input. I have a call scheduled with my parents this afternoon. From what I've gathered, they are extremely upset with Stella and John right now. The more I think about it, sitting through a full church mass sounds less and less appealing, especially since I'm not even religious. And to answer a question from the comments, yes, I had a cocktail with no alcohol. I usually call it a mocktail, but the server last night was a little condescending and told me they're still called cocktails even if they're non-alcoholic. Update. This is going to be a brief update. John found my post, as he apparently lurks on Reddit, and he shared it with Stella. I really wish I'd used the fake name Ursula, since she had even joked about that detail herself. So, Stella has officially called off the wedding. Apparently, when John was ranting about the post and how bad the comments were making him look, he said, "Your sister must be off her goddamn meds and going manic. You better get her ass under control." But that was the final straw. Stella completely came undone and started calling him out on everything he and his family had put her through. Then, she took off the ring and threw it across the living room. John flew into a rage. While he didn't get physical, he screamed at her and threatened her about her mobility issues. You see, Stella uses a cane to walk. That threat was what finally triggered her to text our parents and me for help. By the time our parents got to the house, John was gone. Stella had packed her bags and left with them. Her cane was missing from the house. Stella wanted me to thank all of you for the comments calling her out. She said it shattered the illusion that John had built around them. And while we're both still raw and processing the last couple of days, I am so glad to have my sister back. Just a few days ago, she was someone I hardly recognized. When we were kids, I was always more outgoing while she was more reserved, so I think I felt obligated to just go along with her the other night, despite how conflicted I felt. But again, she says thank you for the wake-up call. And John, if you see this, fuck you. And you know what? Since he found the post, let's just use his real name. Fuck you, Keith.